So the first module is Meet Perl, the basics. So I hope you guys are already aware of that, how to log in through LMS. So the objective. So at the end of this module, you will be able to understand the basics of Perl, run a Perl script, list the different data types in Perl, define indentation and understand string formatting, list various built-in functions. All right. So I'll go to the next slide. So you can skip all the slides, which are like kind of animated, and you can understand like where the Perl has a vast use. So as we all know that Perl has very high usage when we work on test automation framework. It is also used for development tools, and the main advantage of Perl is that Perl has extremely high ability to parse expressions. So basically it is like a request and response language wherein you send some request to the router or some telecom equipment and you get a response. So Perl has a very good set of regular expressions through which you should be able to write a single line of code and it should do a maximum work for you. It's not like C where you have to write the entire logic yourself. Using regular expressions and pattern matching, you can do a lot of things. That is the reason why for scripting, Perl is highly used. Okay, so I'll move to the next slide. So what is Perl? Perl is one of the most popular open source interpreted programming language with a huge number of programmers, libraries, and resources. So when we talk about interpreted language, it is not like C or C++ where you have to compile after making the code changes, you have to compile the entire code. It is an interpreted language, means line by line you have to, the Perl interpreter will interpret. If there is an error, it will show. So it will show errors and warnings at the single line. So that is an interpreter. Perl has a very powerful interpreter within, which will be parsing it line by line. So that is the difference between interpreter and compiler dependent language. So we need a compiler to compile languages, high level languages like C and C++, while we need an interpreter, Perl interpreter, to see the output of Perl. So as I already said, Perl has very powerful inbuilt regular expressions, which is often the most important reason why people decide to use Perl for bulk text processing. So these concepts are used in a lot of places, like there is in telecom domain or in networking domain, there is bulk text processing which is done. And when a simple example I will give you, like if you want to test scalability of routers or some telecom switches or telecom equipment, then you need to write a lot of code for each router or each switch, and you have to execute. While Perl has this ability wherein you can specify the number of hardware machines you want to run on, and you can run it and it will be running on each machine and giving you the response. So that is a good way in Perl wherein you can have a single script which is logging to each router and it is doing the operation and it is giving you the response. So as I said, that Perl is a request response kind of language. So you do something and you get a response, you parse the response using regular expressions and you get some value, which is a valid data which you are looking for. And as I said, in networking, telecom, it is widely used, wherein you basically, if you want to run a script on multiple routers, basically you have to do a telnet or SSH to the router. You log into the router and then you send some commands to the router and you get the response back. And then you parse the response for, say, some operation or some alarm you want to see what is what is ongoing. So this is how Perl is generally used, wherein a single script can be run on multiple devices at one by one, and after getting the response, the connection is closed, then it logs into the other device, connection closed, and that's how it works. And Perl is platform independent. Okay, I have a, okay. As a tech person, which is better, Perl or Python? So I should say, since I am a techie who works on Perl, I should say Perl is very good. But nowadays Python is more used. The reason being, Python is very close to the machine. So you can use Python to directly interact with the machine. Like you can, a Python script can interact with a C using wrapper functions. But Perl is more like, it is used more mainly in automation and tools. So it is not directly interacting with the hardware, though Perl has this feature wherein you can write a Perl script which interacts with a C script or C++ scripts and fetches you some details from the hardware. But generally it is mainly used for scripting and automation. While Python, if you know the latest like cloud implementations and all, most are written in Python. The reason being, you don't need to don't need something below, because Python has this ability where you can directly interact with the hardware, and there has to be some lower level layer code through which you interact. So that is the main use of Python. Perl and Python are different. It is used in different cases. Perl is more used as a scripting and automation language, while Python is a universal language which can be used everywhere. But Perl has a very vast source of tools like regular expressions, pattern matching and all, through which you can write a single line of code which is equivalent to so many lines of code in other languages. So though I am not an expert on Python, but I can say that Python is more about when you consider networking, embedded, and Python to directly interact and give you the response. While Perl is like you have to write the scripts, it has to execute on the router and it will give you the response, but it will not directly interact with the hardware. It is kind of interacting with the upper layer, not at the lowest layer. That is, you can say that is a disadvantage of Perl. So as I said, similar to Python, PHP, but with a very powerful and flexible features. Inbuilt regular expression provides data filter and data transformation. So it has a very vast set of regular expressions which provides this data filter and data transformation mechanisms. We'll talk about this later. So Perl is nicknamed the Swiss Army chainsaw of scripting language due to its flexibility and power. The main reason for it being the use of regular expressions and pattern matching. So there are regular expressions for matching, for substitution, and there are a lot of special variables in Perl through which you can do n number of things. And that is the reason why Perl is mainly used, because Python is more similar to C. You have to implement your logic yourself. You don't have so many rich set of features. And Perl has this ability where it has inbuilt features which can be used. And that is the main reason why Perl is more used in automation, because you don't need to write too much code to execute your script. While Python, you have to write too much code because it is more like C. You can replace a C code with a Python code, but you cannot replace a C code with Perl code, because the way C works and the way Perl works is different. C works at the lower layer, while Perl works at the upper layer. So you want to get, it's like an application layer where you can completely replace by Perl, but you cannot replace the system level by program by Perl. So we'll go to the next slide. So what are the benefits of using Perl? So it's easy to learn, portable, database connectivities are there. So so Perl has a lot of modules. So before going forward, I will tell you about Perl. What are the main features of Perl? So basically, there are two things in Perl. You can write a Perl script with extension PL, and you can create a Perl package with extension PM. So the scripts can use this functions or whatever you have implemented in the PM and do the work. So how the companies use a framework using Perl is that the framework has a lot of PM modules wherein each functionality is implemented using PM. So I can tell you, like, if you have to check the scalability of a router, so you have a specific module for that. There are modules for device specific hardware. Say you are running on Cisco routers, so you have iOS modules, you have Juniper routers, you have Junos modules, you have some other company routers, so they have some other modules. So this kind of implementations are directly written on the PM modules, which are packages. And the test engineer or the automation engineer basically uses these APIs which are implemented in the packages, and he can do the work. So he may not write the entire logic himself of doing something, because those, I'm not talking about the logic of Perl, but the logic of which we want to do, like you want to log into the hardware, you want to log into the router, so you have to do a SSH or telnet, and then you send some command, or you want to set the prompt. Say you want to set a prompt where you want to execute the commands, and then you want to send the request, get some response. So all these things are done in the PM, that is the package manager, while the PL is basically used by the testers, where they can directly call the APIs of the PM and do their operations. All right, so that's about how Perl is generally used. So generally, when we talk about a framework, you will be talking about PM modules which are already existing, and these PM modules are not the PM modules which are provided by Perl by default. So Perl has a vast set of modules which can be used, which are provided by the CPAN. CPAN is you can say a big knowledge base where you can get all the Perl modules for free. While in the industry, each industry have their own implementations, which are their own frameworks, which are written in as PM modules. So you will be using the basic Perl modules, which are already available, plus which are implemented by the organizations, and the testers just need to call those APIs and get it working. So that's about it. So you can go through this. There's not much about all about it. It's easy to learn, portable in the sense that same Perl script can Linux as well as Windows. Only thing is, in the starting, we have to have some paths and all, which we have to set in the starting, and the format of the paths in Linux as well as and Windows is different. So you have a /bin/user or /user/lib. This is the format in Linux, while Windows it's different, and you don't need to specify all these things, because you can directly run the Perl, like you install a Perl interpreter like Perl Express, and you can directly execute the program. So you need not specify the paths and all. But other than that, below that, whatever Perl script you write, it can be executed on the Windows as well as Linux. So it is hardware independent. That is the biggest advantage of this, because this is not similar to C, where C has a very much dependency of the hardware, even C++, but Perl doesn't have that. Okay, Perl provides interfaces to all major commercial databases. CPAN has an archive of Perl library consisting of 20,000 modules. So it has more than 20,000 packages, which I told you is PM modules, which can be used by the developers or automation engineers. Additionally, the industry will be writing their own packages. So there will be a lot of database modules as well. So as we go forward, we will take each topic in detail and explain about it. So And memory management, garbage collection, everything is there. Then you have high level data types and operations, object oriented programming. So it provides a C++ kind of object oriented programming concepts. So we will talk about that later. Easy debugging, skips, scalability. So let's go to the next slide. So Perl was originally developed by Larry Wall in 1997 as a general purpose Unix scripting language to make report processing easier. Since then, it has undergone many changes and revisions. So I have a comment, query. Okay, so Rahul is asking, I am from the Linux admin background, so Perl will be more useful. What do you think? Of course, if you are from Linux admin background, Perl is the best thing for you. The reason being, the Perl is already there as part of the package in Linux. So if you are in Linux and you don't know scripting, it's not good, because scripting is something which gives you additional power, and it identifies you from being a direct system admin to a person who can code as well. So you write your own scripts, and that scripts you may not do just hardware work or networking stuff or just support work. So you can write your own script, and it will give you more power, and it will give you more weightage in your resume. So that is what I can say, that definitely a scripting language is very good. Since Perl is more used in the automation frameworks, so Perl is very good. There are other scripting languages as Python and shell scripting, but Python is more used by developers, not by automation people. So if you are in system admin domain, I feel like Perl is the best thing for you, because shell script has a lot of disadvantages, wherein this shell scripts have some disadvantages, and to overcome this, only the Perl was made and it came into existence. So compared to other scripting language, Perl is very powerful, and it is the good thing in your, of course, it's something which will give weightage in your resume, because compared to Python, it is used by automation engineers and system admin. But if you but if you tell about Python, it is used more by developers, Python developers. So of course it is very good to have in your resume. So I'll move ahead. So about Perl. So Perl was originally developed by Larry Wall in 1987 as a general purpose Unix scripting language to make report processing easier. Since then, it has undergone many changes and revisions. So it was developed by Larry Wall, and it is already part of Unix as a package. So if you install Linux or Unix, you need not install Perl. You might need to reinstall Perl, which is there in the installation document, which I told you. You can go through it, but you may not install Perl again, because it is already there as part of the operating system. But on Windows, you might need to install. So you need to install active Perl, and you need to use an editor. So there are two things. There is an interpreter as well as editor. So interpreter is something which actually checks each line of code and gives if it is a warning is there or error. While editor will just give you an interface where you can type the code. So if you can see my desktop, so this is something, I have this editor called Perl Express. So this is the Windows editor, and I'm focusing on Windows because I don't have Linux here, though I have worked extensively on Linux. But if you have any queries related to Linux, I can answer it later. You can just mail me, or you can just put in the forum. But this editor is an interface where I can write the programs. And backend there is something called active Perl, which is used to compile it, or I should say interpret it. So you need to install active Perl and an editor like Perl Express. All right. So Perl is not an official acronym, but people say it is derived from practical extraction and reporting language. So that's the full form of Perl. Generally, it's called practical extraction and report language. The reason being, it is mainly used for request response and for like bulk processing. So as I told, like bulk text processing. So if you want to say do the work on multiple devices, you basically use Perl. So that is the main use of Perl. And as per the saying, frustrations of Unix shell programming directly led to the creation of Perl, as I already told about that earlier. It is an open source and interpreted language considered a scripting language, which is more than that. Okay, because it is used by developers as well. The reason being, it can be either used as a test automation framework language, or it can be used directly by developers to write tools. So I have worked on a lot of projects where they use tools, developer tools, which are written on Perl. So directly the developers will be using it, and it's not an automation tool, but it's a developer tool. So Perl has so much features which help developers to write a lot of code, and it is very helpful to write very small code rather than writing a very big logic using C or C++. And it's scalable, object-oriented, and functional, as I already told, used by many Fortune 500 organizations. Simply, there is nothing which Perl cannot do. That's true, because Perl is the master of scripting languages, and it is a scripting language which I'm talking about, not a development language like C, C++, or Python. So Python is more used in the development framework. C is also used, but Perl is more used in the test automation framework, though it can be used in development framework as well. That's why when we talk about scripting languages, Perl is the best thing. And anyone who has Perl in his or her resume, it is a very good thing in the market, because you must know coding. People who are from the testing background, the time has changed. Earlier there used to be like people who just do manual testing can survive in the industry. Since then, a lot of things have changed, and now the organizations clearly want either you do some coding or you don't work at all. So you have to learn coding, and Perl is the best thing. You need not write 1,000 lines of code, but you can write 10 or 15 lines of code, or you can understand a script which might be 100 lines of code, but it is something which will give you power in your resume. So I'll go to the next slide. So history of Perl. So you can go through this. So there are different versions, you can say, of Perl, like Perl 0, Perl 1, Perl 2, Perl 3, Perl 4, Perl 5. And like if you just do Perl minus V, if you can just see Perl minus V on my screen, sorry. So it will give you the version 5. So this is the latest version, which is provided by CPAN, who are actually contributing to development of Perl. So there were earlier versions, but this is the latest version. And so you can go through this. So the next slide is why Perl. Perl has the relative less keywords, and there are many ways to do similar things is the philosophy of Perl. Perl has the relative less keywords, and there are many ways to do the similar thing is the philosophy of Perl. Okay. Perl code is typically 1/3 or to 1/5 the size of C++ or Java code. That means there is less to type, less to debug, and less to maintain. Now, this is a very good thing in Perl. That is the main reason why Perl is used, because in organizations, there are two things which are very much important. One is the code size, and one is the speed. So if the code size is very huge, so if you are working on some embedded applications which has very less flash and RAM, so it is very difficult to flash a very huge binary. While if the code size is less, it is very useful because it saves a lot of space, and it helps the organization in buying not a very expensive product. Second thing is speed. So if you want to speed up the compilation and all, you use extensively, like in C++ or C++, you use keywords like inline. In C, you use keywords like macro. You use macros, which will make the code to compile fast and to run fast. But the main problem is not compile. I'm sorry about it, because it's pre-processing, but it will make the code to run faster. But the problem is it will increase the code size. So the code size is directly inversely proportional to the speed, you can say. Like if the code size increases, the speed decreases. So even if there are a lot of techniques to make increase the speed, but the code size will increase. That is where Perl is very much useful, wherein Perl code size, that code size is very less. And that is the best thing about Perl, wherein it saves a lot of memory for the organizations. Okay, Perl programs run unchanged on all major computer platforms. For example, Windows, Linux, Mac. So Perl can run on anything and everything, and the best thing is it is hardware independent. It is platform independent. The same Perl code you can run on anywhere. So support libraries. Perl comes with a large collection of pre-built and portable functionality known as standard modules. These modules support an array of application level programming tasks from text pattern matching to network scripting. So as I already told, there are a lot of modules which are provided, which are known as standard modules. These modules are not what the organization writes. They write their own modules which are copyright for them. These CPAN modules are available, anyone can download. How we can say that development works is when you talk about open source. Perl is an open source language where you can download the entire code and all those stuff. So the organizations will take this open source code and they will modify as per their requirement, and they will have copyright to that. So if they want to send that code to the customer, they will charge. While if you take it from the CPAN, they will not charge you anything. That's how development works on open source. So basically it moves from open source GPL license to copyright license. So they have given the license basically that you can do anything, but if they develop the code, they make it copyright. So it can be used for application level programming from text pattern matching to network scripting. Component integration. Perl scripts can easily communicate with all parts of an application using a variety of integration mechanisms. As I said, the basic use of Perl is at the application layer, not at the lower layer. So basically, you can replace the entire C code in the application by Perl. But when we talk about directly interacting with the hardware where you open a port, Perl cannot do that. Perl has to go through some tools on the application. So when I tell you telnet or SSH to some router, basically you are using you are calling the telnet or SSH commands which are provided by the operating system, and using that or using some C wrappers, it will do the communication. And that is it. So Perl is more used in the application layer, not at the lower layers to directly communicate. So it must need some kind of lower layer which will communicate with Perl, or some tools like which are provided by OS, operating system. Enjoyment. Because of the ease of use and built-in tool set, Perl makes the programming more pleasurable. So users and Perl projects. So Yahoo uses Perl in many of the website development and data processing. Spam Assassin is the well-known spam filter software. It is part of the Apache Software Foundation. Cider Webmail. Cider Webmail is an open source product written in Perl and Ajax. Okay. TWiki is one of the best known wiki software with an orientation to support companies. It is built primarily by the company with the same name that provides cloud-based hosted TWiki service. So you can go through this. This is nothing much special. This is something like you will know about what real-time projects are done on Perl and which are very much famous. Bugzilla is one of them. There is a bug tracking tool which many organizations in the development use, who don't want to invest in a bug tracking system which is paid. So they go for Bugzilla, which is like kind of free, wherein you don't need to pay for it. And it was developed by Mozilla and it is used in quite a lot of companies, which is a bug tracking tool. So traditional uses of Perl. Traditional uses of Perl is database programming, ad targeting, web scripting, internet scripting, system utilities, text processing. So when we go in more detail, you will come to know about each feature and how it is used. I'll just skip this and go to the next slide. So you go through this, you will understand. As I told, it's a request response language. So you send a request to the network and you get back the response from some other PC or some other router. That is network programming. ETL is basically for database, wherein you get there is some Perl script and it interacts with the data warehouse, so that it can be used in data warehouse as well. So Perl installation. So Perl is pre-installed on most Unix machines, as I already told, including Linux and Mac OS. Pre-installed version is 5.x, so it's a 5 version, as I just showed you. So you can see it's like Perl version 5, Perl version 5, version 20. So there will be a minor version and a major version. So 5 is the major version and these are the minor releases which are created. So if there will be some releases which are crappy, which don't work, so they will make a new build. And if they make a new release, they will make it 6. So that's how the software works. It works in an incremental fashion. So this is the major release and this is a minor release. So minor releases are like internal, so it is not much used or given to the customer. But the major release is something which the customers will require. So if the new version of Perl comes, it will be 6 dot something. But right now we are using 5. So I'll go to the next slide. We have already gone through this. So getting help in Perl. So basically, as I told, there is a very huge documentation available in Perl. So this is called Perl Doc. So this is my Windows system. I have opened a command line where I can type the commands, Perl commands. So like if you do Perl Doc, okay, and if you do just Perl Doc and if you type, it has so many options. So it will ask with Perl Doc -f, Perl functions, FAQ keywords, Perl var, Perl API. So the best way to know more is Perl Doc, and you can type any of the commands here. Say Perl Doc, and you want to know, say Perl intro. Okay, so you just do Perl Doc and Perl intro. So if you do, it will give you entire information what you want. Okay, so it will give the introduction of Perl, what is Perl, how to run a Perl program on Linux and Windows. So basically, I was talking about Perl Doc. So Perl has a very good documentation wherein you can know everything about Perl. So there are a lot of documentation, but you have to be very specific on what you want to know. So if you go through this slide, you will know that this Perl intro is there, Perl is there, Perl REFTUT is there, Perl DSC is there. So many things are there. You just need to go to a command prompt where Perl is installed. Okay, so how do you find whether Perl is installed or not? So you just type Perl, and there is no script, so it is like kind of hung. So if you do Perl, I have written a script like hello.pl, so it will give you the output. So that, or you can do a Perl -v, so which will give you the version. So when you do a Perl -v, you are sure that Perl is installed on your system. So you can open a command line, it's Windows or Linux, and you wherever Perl is installed, you have to ensure that Perl is properly installed. And from the command prompt, if you just type Perl -v, you should be able to see the version of Perl installed. So here you just need to do Perl Doc and any of the commands here. Say Perl FAQ. If you do, so it will give you FAQ about Perl. So it will say like so much in Perl FAQ comprises several documents that answer most common questions, and what are the other FAQs. So this is very extensive, and so you can get most of the information here. All right, so I'll move ahead to the next slide. So now starting with Perl. Now the thing is, Perl can be invoked from the command line with a -e switch. So how do we do that? So I had written some of the scripts here. It's very simple, so you don't need to bother much on like typing everything, because Perl you can write as a text file and save it as a .pl extension, or you can directly execute a Perl command on the shell or on the command prompt of Windows. So it's very simple. So if you go through this module, you can see that Perl can be invoked with the command line -e switch, similar to Linux command. And you can save the program in the file and execute it whenever required. Perl script usually have the .pl extension, which is the short form of Perl library. So from how do we execute a Perl command on the command line? So we'll just execute the first one. So you can see here there are two lines which are printed: Perl -e and then print hello world, and Perl -e print hello world. The main difference is you have to, Perl has this feature wherein it is case sensitive, and if it has two kinds of quotes, like single quotes, double quotes, both work. So in the next slide I will tell you which one to use where. But if you just copy paste this, you can see what is the output. So I have done a similar thing. So I have just done, say so I'm just do Perl -e print hello world. Okay, if I do this, you get hello world. So this is how you execute the Perl program on the command line. Basically what you do is you do Perl -e, and in the double quotes you put print command, and then you have to put in the single quotes the string you want to print. But there is a but. The main reason why we use single quotes is it interprets everything as a string. So there are special characters which are like /n, like nuke line, tab, so form feed. So many things are there which are bell character, which are special characters. So if you want to print here, if you want to print, put a new line character, if you want to do, you will just see what will happen. So it prints hello world /n. I hope you guys are aware of some of the programming concepts, like how to write the special characters. So these are very basic things like new line characters, tab characters, bell characters. So there are a lot of new line special characters. So you can see in the next slide wherein, say, /n represents the start of a new line. New line means if you put a /n, then it goes to the next line. The cursor goes to the next line. And /t represents the tab character. So it puts a tab and then prints the next string. So these special characters lose their meaning if you put in the single quotes. So what we should do is, if there are single quotes, replace it with the double quotes. Okay. So double quotes does this interpolation wherein it finds out that this has some meaning. So if you print here, I'm sorry about it. I did a mistake here. I have to put a slash. Print. Yeah, I missed the slash. Okay. One second, please. Yeah. So if you print the same thing which is written here, you can see the second line prints it like you put in the double quotes print, and then you have to put the slash, because what it does is this backslash overrides basically overrides the special meaning. How it does is, if you do like this and if you do double \n, okay, it will give you the \n in double quotes also. So the meaning is it will override the special meaning of this quote. So there is a quote. So that's why when you want to print, the first quote is basically because you are sending this as a command. So you have to put the first quotes, that's fine. But the second quotes, before the second quotes, you have to put this backslash because it overrides the special meaning of /n, and then in the of quotes, sorry, I'm sorry about it. It overrides the special meaning of quotes, and the /n is interpreted in the proper way. So you can see that it has put a new line. It has put a new line character, and it goes to the next line and then prints this quoted string, and then again it prints a new line where it gives a blank line. So that's the trick. If you want to use this double quotes, you can put any special characters, and if you want to override the meaning of the special character in the double quotes, you have to put a backslash before the special character. So that will change the meaning, and it will just interpret it as a normal character. So I can give you one more example. So here if you do print, and here if I just do so you can see that I have put this in the print, and I have printed the character, and I can print this. I can even do this as if I remove this character, get nothing. So I can do something like this. I will tell you how. So this, and you can put this, and you can put one more quotes. So I'll go through this slide because I'm missing out some time. I'll explain you as I go ahead, because there are some patterns which got missed out. So I'll explain this later. I'll take this in the later class once we go to the programming. So let's go ahead. The thing is, basically you understood that there is a single quotes and double quotes. If in the single quotes, if you put the special character will not have its own meaning, and it will be printed as it is. While if you are printing something in the double quotes, then it will take the special character meaning, and if you want to override the meaning of the special character, then you must put a backslash before the special character. So I'll go to the next slide. So some of the special characters in Perl are /n, /t, /f, /b. So it is leave line, tab, form feed, backspace, control A. So many things are there. So end is the logical end of the program. Underscore file underscore is display file name. So you can go through this. As we move ahead, we'll have a clear picture on this. So write the first program. So how do you write a first program? You can either open a VI editor on Linux or any editor on Windows. So say I have written this code on Perl on Windows, and I use this editor called Perl Express. So what I do is, this is not needed because this is used on Linux platform. So you can use strict. You can use strict means if there are some type checkings, this will be done, and it will give you an error if there are some type checking issues. And warnings means if there are some warnings you want to display, it will display the warnings. And if you print hello class, if you want to do, and I save. I don't want to run this here because I want to show on the command line. So basically I just save this program. I just do a Control S, or I can just do File and Save. I've already done the save. So you do a save, and I store my codes in one of my folders, though if you see the slides, they will be mentioning some other folder, but I have a different folder structure where I put my scripts. So I have saved this in hello.pl, and if I want to execute this, so I'll just do Perl and then I do hello.pl. So I get hello class. So this is a very simple thing. You can either print it on the command line, or you can print it writing a code, saving it .pl with a PL extension and executing it with Perl and the file name .pl. And if you want to execute this on Unix, then if people are familiar with Unix, you will all know that you can make any file as an executable, where you give the execute permissions with chmod. So as we go ahead, I can show you on how to execute on Linux as well. And basically you can make it executable, and you can just directly run that script. So no need to type everything. You can just run the script as a normal executable, how you execute on Linux. So we went through this. So we can use any editor. The Perl extension is .pl. Perl executives end with a semicolon. Perl is case sensitive, as I said. Anything like capital letter, small letter, it will give you an error if the case is different. For free form, white spaces are ignored. Okay, comment with a pound sign may be anywhere, not the beginning of the line. So if you see this, this is called a shebang, wherein hello. What is the first line in this code? Yeah, so this is specifying the path. Okay, this is specifying the path, and Rahul, I am answering your question. Basically, the first line specifies the path, but this is, if you delete this, okay, if you just delete this and you try to execute, you will still get the output. The reason being, this is basically used for Linux kind of platforms. So basically your question is why the first line is used, or what is the use of the first line. So this shebang character, this is called a shebang character, where you put a pound character which is for comments, and then there is an exclamatory sign which has a special meaning, which is like look for the scripts in this directory. So the user/bin/perl. So we have to always specify this when we write the programs using Linux or Windows Unix kind of platform or Solaris platform. But this is not needed when we use this on Windows platform, because it is automatically the interpreter is installed and we have a front end, and it's automatically the path is appended. So you don't need to worry about this. This is only if you are writing on Linux, you will be specifying the path. Okay, and as I said that there is a comment. If you don't want to print anything, so I'll just say this is a comment. Okay, and I don't put a semicolon or whatever here. And if I just want to execute it, I just get hello class. But if I want to remove this comment here, and I just say print, this is a comment, and you can see that I am putting a single quotes here, not a double quotes. So you can see what is the difference it made. So if this hash character is basically used to make it a comment. So whatever you print after this becomes a comment, it's not printed. But this has a special character shebang, that is hash and exclamatory sign, which is used to specify the path, mainly used on Unix kind of platform. But okay, I have another question. Okay, Mahesh is asking, is the semicolon necessary at end of file at your line? Okay, so yeah, semicolon is very much essential when you want to end a statement in Perl. So it is like C. Okay, one more question. What is the question? End of line. Yes. So end of line. Once you want to specify, you have to give a semicolon. The reason being, Perl is an interpreter, and line by line it does the interpretation. So if you don't put a semicolon, here, and you want to see the output, let's see what happens. Okay. So this is a comment. So basically, I'm not sure why it is executed, because it requires a semicolon, because that's how a Perl statement is ended. Okay, but I'm not sure why the compiler is not giving you an error here, but so I'm not sure why it is giving. It might be some issues, but basically we need to put a semicolon after each statement, and that's how a logical statement is written in any programming language, where we start it with some keywords, then we put some strings or whatever we want to print, and then we end that statement with a semicolon, which says that it's the end of the line. So go to the next line. So semicolon is very much important, but I'm not sure why it's giving you not giving an error, but it's essential to write. If you want to write a clean code, and if you want to not have any issues with your code, you should always write a clean code. So you should always follow the syntax which we have gone through in the previous classes, previous slides, which says semicolon is very much essential. Where each statement ends, you put a semicolon. So that's how it is. Now you can see that I have written this statement, hello class, this is a comment. And you can see this doesn't look good because hello class and there is no space or tabs. So I want to print this is a comment in a next, this is not a comment. So this is not a comment if I do. Okay, and if I want to put it in the next line, so what I do is I can put a slash in here. So if I put a slash in before, what happens is you can clearly see that hello class, this is not a comment. So this is a very simple example of how do we write a Perl program. So you can just specify, you can write use whatever you want to use, like what are the with warnings or without warnings, then you can just print. And as you know, you can put it in single quotes or double quotes. I can give you one example. If you put the same thing in single quotes, you can see the difference, what will happen. So if you just want to execute this, you can see this is not a comment. So slash n, so it prints the slash n, and it doesn't understand that slash n is a special character, which means new line. So go back to the next line. And even you could have done this instead of this, you could have put this in a single quotes, and you could have put a slash in here. You could have put a slash in here. So what is the output? So output is same, because I am putting a new line character after the first print, and this print statement is within the double quotes. So you are able to interpret it in a proper way. The Perl is able to interpret it in a proper way. But the next statement is just a string. It doesn't have anything. So it will just print as it is. So we'll go to the next slide. So okay, so comment begins with a pound sign. Then multi-line comments you can put. You can put multiple comments. You can put here. You can put high. Say you can put high, something like that. And here also you can put a. So I can put this is for strict type check. So if you do this, and if you want to execute, you do it as it is, because these are comments you can put it anywhere. So this is what was said here, that it's supposed multi-line comment through POD. So POD is plain old documentation. So you can even write the Perl documentation in a POD format, wherein you can, whatever documentation is there, you can display on a web in this format where we just saw like Perl doc. So you could see this option. So you can feed this to the Perl doc, or you can also display this on a web page using some kind of wiki or somewhere where you put whatever documentations you want to put. So you use POD, but this is something very specific, and I'm not going to cover this. If it is there as part of the module and if it is essential, I could take some information, but generally this is not required because this is like you are only the documentation part. So people who are only putting documentation information, they are putting this on the POD format. Okay, so we have already taken a basic script how to execute on the command line or on the editor. You guys are already aware of that, so I'm not going to go again and executing this because this is some script. You can have XYZ information and you can just execute it. So for Linux, as I already told, you can execute the script while adding the shebang line. So the first character here, this is called shebang, where you have this exclamatory sign preceded by a hash. So this is specifying the path. This is essential if you want to write a code on Perl in Linux, but it is not essential for Windows. You need not specify the path at all. But even if you put, it doesn't matter. It doesn't give you an error in Windows. So that is the thing. So, and the interpreter address is the very first line of the script to make them self-executable. We'll go to the next slide to understand that. So basically how to make this executable, I'll go through the next slides where it covers. So basically you can create an executable using the chmod command. So I hope like you guys are aware, I don't have Linux here. Chmod plus X, and you can just put some permissions, and you can put chmod chmod and 777 you can do, like you give read, write, execute permissions to all, and you can do start. So all the files in this directory you can give the read, write, execute mode, or you can just do chmod plus X, like you want to execute put the execute permissions only for a specific file. You can do that. So that's how you do, and if you make it executable, you need not write Perl and file name.pl. You can directly execute .pl file. So that is on Linux, but since I don't have Linux here, so I'll follow the Windows convention. I'll go to the next slide. So the data types. So this is the most important thing in Perl. It is very much different from C people who have prior expertise writing code. So this is very much different, wherein we have C, C++, we have int, float, char. So we don't have this kind of data types at all in Perl. So what Perl 5 specifies is singular or list. So singular is something which we specify as scalar. So there are two main things. Okay, in scalar is something which stores a data which is a single piece of data. So so something like it can store an integer, it can store a float, it can store a string, it can store a character. So you can see the first, second, third, fourth. The first is an integer, second is a float, third is a character, and fourth is a string, and 5 is also a string with some additional special characters which is like new line characters. And additionally, Perl has this added advantage wherein it provides a reference. So if you guys are a little bit aware of C++, it provides you reference variables wherein you can get a reference of one variable and you can store in another variable. So basically references, both will have the same value. So if you have a reference of some location or some address, basically you get the reference will have the same value with what it refers to. So how to refer it and all, we'll go through the next slides and the later slides where we cover it. So the last statement, if you see, so this is a statement, and also basically it's simple to understand. It can store any kind of data types, normal data types which we specify in C, C++ kind of thing, where it is like int, float, char, or string. Basically these are the four things. String is not a data type, but basically it's a combination of characters. And you can even specify new line characters and all, and you have to make sure that it is in the double quotes. The reason being it has special meaning. So if you put, or you can have a reference. So reference is an address and you put a slash. So that can be stored in some variable. So this variables will be starting with the dollar variable. So these are called scalar. So when we talk about singular, basically there is nothing called singular. This is just a representation, but the actual name is scalar. So there are three kinds of data types in Perl, basically scalar, array and hash. Okay, but we are clubbing array and hash as list because it refers to a list kind of data, while singular is basically a single data. Okay, so that's it. So we'll go to the next slide. We'll understand what a list is. Okay, so Perl 5 only distinguishes between two types of data, singular and list. We have already covered. So list represents a combination of multiple scalars. It can hold a combination of strings, statements, numbers, or references, memory address. List usually represented by the parenthesis records. Now, how list works is, list is a combination of data types. It's a combination of scalars, right? So if you see how it is represented, so you can see this is called an array. So so how array indexes are mapped is, you have three elements in the array. So it is like $A, $B, $C, and you will be having the values as 1, 2, 3, and you can have $name, $company, the values of Juice and Edureka. So basically this is each element is mapping to some value, element value. So that's how it is, how a list works. But basically we'll go in detail about array and hash, how it works. So more about data types. So basically length of the variable is not limited. So variable names are case sensitive, type declaration is not required. Variable names need not be predefined, characters, underscores can be. So these are more about variable types and names. You can go through this, and you obviously any programming language will have this convention, how to define a variable, it is case sensitive or not, what special characters are needed. Just like if you want to register in a website and they'll tell that enter the password. It will have some rules how you want to create the password, like it will have one underscore or what. So this is what the conventions required for variables or data types. You can go through this, and this is what we specified in the dollar variable. So the dollar variable can have that name, whatever is specified here. I'll go to the next slide. So you can skip this. So basically it is asking you a question. So which of the below is a scalar variable? Now you guys also can answer this question, which is a scalar variable. So just now we went through the last slide, which says the scalar variable must start with a $sign. But if there are two $signs, it has a special meaning. So we are not considering this as a special variable. Neither we are considering dollar followed by a hash as a scalar, because if you go to the previous slide, you can see that no special characters can be part of this variable. Only thing is it can start with a $, but it cannot have any other special characters. So that is the reason why these last two are rejected. And the first one is not even starting with a $. So this is not a scalar variable. Only scalar variable is the second one. So we can see the answer is the second one. So I hope I am clear here. So I'll move to the next slide. So what is the output of the following executable statement? Please pay me $10. Okay, so again it is very simple. Okay, since we are putting this in the single quotes, you can see we are putting this in the single quotes. So the special meaning of this $, will be gone. So what should be the output is, sorry, I'm sorry about it, because we are just printing this as a string. We are just printing it as a string, and $, is not a special character, but a /n or /t will be a special character. So it will just print whatever is it as a string, as it is. So it will just say, please pay me $10 because it doesn't have anything else. So it will just print as it is because the dollar also will be interpreted and it will be given. See, you can see the answer and what is the reason for that. This is because we have the complete expression in single quotes, which does not allow interpolation of scalar variable. But had you put here that $name, had you put something like, I'll go to the code, and if you put the same thing, if I put is please pay me $10. Okay, so it'll say please pay me $X. Okay, if you print this, if you want to print this, sorry. Okay, so it will print you $X because I am not having any special meaning because I'm putting a single quotes. But if you put this in the double quotes, you see how the output gets changed. So this will be global variable $X because explicit package name. So we are not having the value of $X. So basically, I can show you one small example which we will take in the next classes or in the later classes. But you can do my $X equal to 5. If you do this and then you want to print it, okay, then you get please pay me 5. So how it got changed is my is a keyword which says it is local. So it's something like Perl also has concepts of local variable or global variable, but we do not have explicit brackets and parentheses wherein we want to specify the scope. We will write a single, we don't have much loops also. We can write loops, but it is not like C wherein we have multiple functions and all. It is more like a script wherein we put everything in a one single file. So here you can see that the my keyword becomes like a global because it is whoever refers to $5, he can $X, he will be referring it throughout the program. So it becomes like a global to this file. And since I have put the value as 5, so it prints me $X. But if I had put this in single quotes, so my output would have been drastically different. Please pay me $X because it doesn't understand that $X has some value. So that's it, which you understand that what is the difference between single and double quotes. Okay, so we'll go to the next slide. Okay, so array. So what is an array? So array holds a list of values of scalars. The values can be numbers, strings, or another arrays. Arrays start with @ So that is how we write array. Okay, so we don't have in C we will have something like array. We'll have some name of the array and we'll have brackets and then the value of the array. We don't have like that. We'll have array named like C, but we'll be having an @ of symbol to specify it is an array. Okay, so as I said that the list can contain a combination of characters, a combination of scalars. So you can see that it can have either a single element or it can have multiple elements or it can have multiple different kinds of element. Okay, so this is the basic difference between C and Perl or people who have programming experience on some other language, because you can see that this array here can accept any kind of non-related items. So you can have a character array, you can have an integer array, you can have a floating kind of data in the array, but in C, or C++, but here it is different, wherein you can have different kinds of data. It can be a combination of integer and float together, or you can have a float and a string. So this is where Perl is very much different. So it does not need basic data types. It will be specifying all this as a single data. Okay, so the next is array of weekdays. So we have weekdays as Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So how do we specify is, we'll start with this is the name of the array, and equal to, then we have this bracket starting, and we'll close this braces and we'll put each value as a string. And since this each value is not having a special meaning or special character, we can put in single quotes only. So that is how array is written. So we can either write like this, or like this. And if you want to print weekdays, if you want to just print weekdays, it will print you the value of the weekdays, that is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And if you want to print like this using double quotes, also interpolates the array. So it will also print. But if you just print in single quotes at the rate of weekdays, it will just print as a string, that is at the rate weekdays only, because it will not understand that at the rate has some special significance. That's how you should be very careful. If you have any Perl script or anything you want to write, you have to be very careful of where to use the single quotes and double quotes. It's always safe to use the double quotes, because double quotes is like you can use anywhere and it will interpret everything properly. Only thing is, if you want to use only strings which has no specific meaning, you can use single quotes. Otherwise, it's safer to use double quotes. So go to the next slide. So working with an array. So index of array starts with 0. So it is very much similar to C or C++, wherein how the array representation is done. So you have this A0, A1, A2, like AN, whatever, we will have n number of array. Generally it starts with 0, so it will be n minus 1 is the last element in C. Here we'll be starting with 0, array 1, and we can also have array minus 1, minus 2, which will be from the back. So if you want to do array minus 1, minus 2, it will be from the end, last or previous we can specify. And you saw in the quiz that there was something like $hash. So $hash gives you the last index. So it gives you the last element, basically index, and if you want to print that, it will print to the last value. So basically this is a special variable in Perl which has a special meaning. This is very much important. This is a special variable in Perl which has a special meaning, and this is basically used to print the last index. And we can assign a value of an element by just assignment. How do we do that? Is just we want to print the values. So say you are having this array. You are having arrays as Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We are printing in double quotes weekdays 0. So it will print to the first element, that is Monday. Then weekdays 4, we will print the fifth element, because 0 is the first. So 1 is second, 2 is third, 3 is fourth. So 4 is the fifth element. So it prints the fifth element, which is the Friday. So this is first, second, third, fourth, fifth. So it goes till Friday. If you print 6, prints nothing, undefined. So there is something called undef in Perl, and it will not print 0 because this is a list. So it will print undefined. So the list must have some values, and since this is out of boundary condition, it will print undef. We will go as on when we go the future classes, we'll understand it better. Okay, and we can have this fruits equal to apples, bananas, and cherries. This is how we assign. We can directly assign the fruits in the brackets, and we can directly pass as strings, and it will be assigned as the array elements. Say again, we have that more food, guava, and fruits. So you can also assign another array. Like you have one array which is having apples, bananas, and cherries. So you pass it to more food. So you will have guava, apples, bananas, and cherries as the new array. So that's how array works, wherein you can have a combination of scalars which can be different, or it can be different array also. That is the good thing in Perl, you can directly assign. And if you just do print $more food, it prints you if you see this more food. So this more food is like the last index. It is not the element. So if you just do the last index, that is like you have now guava, apples, bananas, and cherries. So four elements are there. But it will start with guava is 0, apples is 1, bananas 2, cherries 3. So it will print the last index, that is 3. So this is called a special variable in Perl. Perl has many special variables. As on when we go further, you will understand it better. So if so this is a question, if $hash array represents the last index, then what does $array displays? Okay, now this you can understand very simply. This will be this is the last array index, but you can, when we specify in the array, then it will be like what? It will be the you want to specify that you want to pass this index in the array, so it will just print the last index value basically, right? So if you see here, it is same as, because the $array index gives you the index plus 1, so array prints the last element. So it prints you the last element. So prints the last element value. The reason being, because we are having $array and this in brackets, so we are passing this as, say, if it is 3, so you want to print array and then in the brackets 3, so it prints the last element in the array. Okay. So the next question. So array is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What is the value of array -2 and array 2? So it is like, what is the value? So it is very simple. Array -2 goes from back. So it is like, so if it is, this is -1, -2. Okay. And so this is the -2 element, the second last. And if you go to array 2, so array 2 is array 0, array 1, array 2. So array 2 is 2. Because array 2 is not the second element. In fact, it is the third element. So it becomes array 2 is 2 and array -2 is 5. So you can see, like, answer is 5 and 2. So I hope I am clear on this. So we'll go to the next slide, which is hash. So these are more further concepts. You must go through these slides because this is very much exhaustive, and you must it might not be very easy for you to understand in the first instant, because there's a lot of concepts. You must go through the slides and practice yourself and in your home, in your laptop or in your PC, and you must execute these programs, and then you will come to know. And then probably once you are hands-on on executing, then whatever your doubts are there, you can just put in the forum and I can answer. But these are concepts which you must program, so to understand it better. So hashes. So this is one very important concept in Perl, where it provides you a hash, which is an associative array. So what is an hash? Hash provides you key value pairs. So basically, when we saw an array, we had just the values. We'll have array 0, 1, 2, or you will have $A, $B, $C, and we'll have the value as strings or integer, whatever it is, but or combination. But here you see that there are two things. It is like a hash implementation where each will have an index and a value. So when we say an hash element, this element 1 is reference to January, 2 refers to February, and 3 refers to March. So the hash contains 3 elements. Hash is preceded by the symbol %, and hashes are like arrays, but instead of having numbers as their index, they can have scalars as their index. So the hashes have scalars as their index. So they will have index as 1, 2, 3, and the value as Jan, Feb, March. So basically 1 corresponds to Jan, 2, Feb, 3, March. Similarly, if you have hash like this 1, Jan, 2, Feb, 3, March, this is also correct. This is also correct because in when we specify key values, so 1 is the key and the value is Jan. Okay. Okay, I have a question which Rahul says, what is your question? We give key as per our choice. Okay. If you are asking, you want to have key as per your choice, of course. Key, and when we declare the array, okay, you can specify as per your choice. You can have anything. You can in fact have anything, because this we are not specifying anything specific. If it is something specific, then it is fine, but it is something very generic. You are telling that the first index is Jan 2. So it is something, if you go here, you can have any index as any value. If you go further, So if you go further, you will come to know what is the hash. Any index can have any value, and even I told you that the indexes can be scalars, and the scalars can be an integer, or it can be a float, it can be a string, anything. So it need not matter it is in some order or something, whatever, it doesn't matter. It is just an index. Okay, fine, Rahul. So basically this is an index and the value. So this is what it is. So if you go to the next slide, you can understand what it means. So hash keys are unique. Okay, the keys are unique. You cannot have apples to red and again apples to yellow. So it must be unique. Perl won't throw an error if user tries to access the key which is not available. So it will not throw an error. That is also something. Once you program, you will understand this. You can assign hash to an array. This is also possible, as we can assign an array to an array. You can also assign a hash to an array. Use braces, not parentheses, while fetching the values of a key. So how do we want to print each element of an hash? So first thing is, as Rahul asked this question, wherein how it is, do we need to specify the index, or it can be anything? Yeah, it can be anything, but it should be unique. So it can be integer, it can be, the previous slides you can see we are not putting a quotes in one because it is already an integer, or I should not say integer, it is already a scalar and it is not a string. But when we tell it is a string, we have to put the quotes, single quotes or double quotes, and this apples means red, bananas means yellow. So you are putting this in quotes, and this is your key, and this is a unique key. So, and when you want to print a hash element, once you want to print the hash element, you just do print and $fruit. So if you remember array, we used to do print and at the rate, instead of, we will have at the rate fruit, and we will also print $fruit, which refers to the fruit array, and we'll put the value in the bracket like 0, 1, 2, whatever we want to print. But here in hash, what we do is, it is also print, and instead of array that at the rate, here for hash it is percentage, we put just the $, because it's a scalar. But instead of a bracket and putting the index, we will put this braces, basically parentheses, and inside which one we want to print. So this is the index. So you can see the bananas is the index. So bananas, when we want to print the bananas value, it is yellow. So hash is used for very fast searching. So hash is a data structure wherein if you want to search any element in a data structure, if you use the hash implementation, it is very, very fast because of this key value pair. So instead of, see, when you take an array, it starts with some index 0, 1, 2, 3. So it is in a sequential fashion when you want to search. But when you use a hash, it is not in a sequential array. You want to search, say you want to search this bananas, okay, in the fruit hash. So it will immediately give you the result. This is not a small, this is a small hash, but if you see the actual hash implementation, if you in C or anything, the hash implementation, it is like very complex, wherein you will be fetching lot of, you will have lot of information, lot of data structure from where you want to just print the find a value. So while searching and all, if you are searching the hash, then it is very fast. And the thing is, hash in the Perl, if you say in Perl, the best advantage of hashes is you can associate any kind of index to any value. So as on when you do complex programming, you will come to know why hash is used. Okay, arrays we will be just passing different data types, but hash you can associate a key value pair. So as and when we go in the further examples, I will tell you clearly why hash has more importance. It is only implementation specific. If you are not requiring hash implementation, you can go ahead and use just arrays, but you can implement very complex implementation using hash. Okay, so let's move forward. As on when you go in the complex codes, you will come to know. So we'll cover why hash is used. We'll take some real-time example and we'll tell you. But most of the time, array is more than enough if you are not implementing a very hardcore data structure. So basically, these are called data structures. Okay, These are data structures wherein you are having some value of the data structure. Either you are having a similar kind of data, or you are having different kind of data, or you can have index and value. Index value. This is basically used for searching. So if you want to search in a hash, it is very fast. If you want to search in an array of 1 lakh elements, hash will give you the fastest output. Okay, but few people will implement in hash because these are complex data structures. So as I said, once you go in the further, so you will come to know about it. Okay, so we'll say you can just print it as $fruit and guava and equal. You can, if you want to print, you can just do a print. And if you just want to add elements, so as I said, similar to array, if you can just use the equal to sign and put the element, or you can put multiple elements if you want to assign. Just you have to have different hash index. So that's how the assignation is done. Okay, so I'll move to the next slide. So $array is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and $hash equal to array. What are the keys of the hash? Okay, so you can see that I am assigning the keys of the hash, the array to the hash. Okay, I'm having the elements as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what are the keys of the hash? So if you see the output, so these are all arrays. So you want to understand. I don't want to explain, because the reason being, hash is a complex data structure. How it is assigned and all, you must know hash in very much detail to understand. So 1, 3, 5, all odd elements of array are keys of hash, and all events are corresponding odd elements keys. So this is something complex, wherein 1, 3, 5. So if you see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 3, 5 odd elements of an array are keys of hash, and all even there are corresponding odd element keys. Okay, so that's how hash assignation is done. So if you want to assign array to an hash, you have to be very careful, because in this assignation you might lose out some data. You might not have the proper data, because you have to take care that hash, the array is properly converted to hash. So the thing is, we have to be very careful in writing hash. Hash is not a joke. It's not very simple. You must take care that each and every element is properly interpolated. So as on when we go in detail, or in the further classes, we will be covering hash in detail. So you can just remember how the assignation is done. So you can just remember, later we'll speak about it. So we have this percentage hash equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What is the output of the percentage hash? So again, we are having the hash as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what we are doing is, we are just having the hash value. So if you see this hash, so we are having percentage hash and the values, and we are having key value pairs. But here we are not. Here we are having just this as an array, like with just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what is the output of print percentage hash? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Percentage hash or 1, 3, 5. Again, we have to go and understand this. Perl considers percentage hash as a string when printed in double or single quotes. So this is very important. When you put this as a string, when you put this in a double quotes, this will identify this as a string. So what will happen is, it will print this the hash value as a string. Okay, it will not print. Perl consider percentage hash when printed in double or single quotes. So it will print the entire hash as a string value. So that is what it is. So it will print what? It should print this as percentage hash only. So that is what it is. So we should be very careful when we want to print, because this kind of things are happening in hash, wherein it is not very much similar in the implementation of an array, where we can directly do this in double quotes. It is different. So we have to be very careful in printing or assigning how to hash. It can give you some errors, or it will be difficult to debug. So as on when you are writing complex codes on hash, you can understand this. So we'll move to the next slide. So what is the difference between array and hash? So just now Rahul asked this question, what is the difference between array and hash? So here, this is the complete answer. I answered partly. So you can see that array array has elements stored in predefined index. So this array will be having this predefined index as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 if you have 5 elements. If you have just 2 elements, you will have just 0, 1. But hash is not like that. Hash is like there are values and it is associated to keys, and where these values are stored in memory, no one knows. This is like this mapping of keys and values. It is stored internally by the Perl interpreter, how it is stored in memory. So how Perl identifies this, that is internal to Perl. But this is how hash and array is different. You can see that array elements are stored in predefined index, and array is a list of ordered elements useful when ordering is important. So we want the ordering to be right. As Rahul asked this question, the hash can have any index, any key and value, but this cannot start with 4 and end with 100. Okay, it must have the 0 element as Monday or something, otherwise we are not assigning the initial elements. And we always know that the first element is most important in array. The rest of the things are fine. You can assign, you cannot assign, it will print some junk character, or it will just print that it's not existing. But you must have some element in the first element, that is 0, array 0. That is not the case in hash, wherein this hash elements are stored as user defined key and index. Hash is a list of unordered elements stored in random memory. So as I said, how it is stored, it is not a sequential order of elements. It is stored in a random memory. They are faster while fetching. Yeah, that is the main answer. They are faster while fetching the values than that of the arrays, because if you go for binary search or you go for quick like any kind of search, like a search algorithm, then and you have plenty of data to search, plenty of data structure, lakhs of data structure, hash will give you the fastest output. And this hash implementation, this is a Perl hash implementation, but if you see in C or any C++ or any data structure implementation of hash, it will be hash which is the fastest. So this is very important. If you know hash, it is very good, but it is not very easy to move around with hash, how to assign and all. It is little difficult. So once you master the concepts, first you start with scalar, then you go to array, and then you finally go to hash. And if you want to assign array to hash, be very careful. First you should very much be clear about the concepts of array, hash and scalar, and then you want to play around with array and hash. Otherwise it will be disastrous, because you will not get the proper output. You are expecting something, you will get something else. So this is very important, which gives you the differences between hash and array. So like the next slide is operators in Perl. Now Perl also has very rich operators, which is very much similar to C or C++. There are some minor differences. What are they? Operators are specific symbols which have some predefined operations to perform on their arguments. So operations option to get the online help or Perl operators is Perl OP. So if you do option to get the online help or Perl OP, I think it is there in Perl doc. Let's see, Perl doc, Perl OP. If you do this if you just do Perl op, if you do just Perl doc and specific followed by the keyword, it is there in previous slides, it will give you all the information. So what is an operator? So Perl is very rich in documentation. All the information is there in Perl. And you can see in this line wherein they say that operators borrowed from C keep the same precedence relationship with each other, even where C's precedence is slightly screwy. This makes learning Perl easier for C folks. So people who have knowledge of C, they can easily understand Perl, because it is just like very easier implementation of C. So that's how it is. So you can just, whatever they are asking, like Perl op or whatever, Perl operators or Perl, whatever, you can just do Perl doc specified by the keyword, and you can see the specific meaning like of Perl operators, or what are the Perl operators. These operators can be divided into 4 different types, like arithmetic operators, assignment operators, logical operators, bitwise operators, range operator, repetitive operator, concatenation operator, miscellaneous operator, quoting operator. So what are they? So arithmetic operator is very much similar. We are already aware of what are the arithmetic operators like addition, subtraction. This is called modulo operator. Like if you want to get the remainder of, if you divide say 3 divided by 2, so you get what you get say 5 divided by 3. So you get what you get 2 as the remainder. So the remainder can be stored in the modulo operator value. But the divider, the division is like what is the value of the after division. If we divide 5 by 3, what is the value of the division? But modulo is the remainder. So we are already aware of these operators, and then we have this multiplication thing, and we have double star. We'll go through this later. What is the meaning of double star? Just you understand these are the operators. Later we'll come to know about this kind of operators. So in assignment operators we have equal to, we have equal to, plus equal to, minus equal to, star equal to, that multiplication into equal to, division equal to, and modulo equal to. So it is same like if you have equal to, we can just assign. But we can have plus equal to means a plus equal to 3. Means what? You want to assign it, you want to add it, and then you want to assign it. So it is something like in one line, instead of doing a is equal to 2 and a plus plus. So we are doing a plus equal to 2. Means what? Whatever the value is there, I am incrementing the value of a by 2. So this is what is the meaning of plus equal to. It is very much similar in C, C++ also we have this kind of concepts. So minus equal to into multiplication equal to, similar kind of thing. And in Perl, instead of having greater than symbols, lesser than symbols, as we have in other programming languages, Perl has differences between how do we use greater than or less than. It can be greater than or less than only for numbers. So if we are only operating on numbers like 1 and 2, and or the value of this scalars is numbers, then we can use this operators which are similar to any programming language. But if we are working on strings, say we are working on 2 strings, then we must use this LT, that less than, greater than, equal to, less than, equal to, not equal to for strings. This you must remember. That's how Perl is different. If you want to learn Perl, you must be very much hands-on with Perl. So you must go and read all the concepts of Perl, because there are so much pattern matching, substitution, regular expression, so much special variables in Perl, and so much like extra keywords that I basically started from a C background, and then Perl. I found that part as little complex, but as and when I learned more Perl, I found it is very easy. But the thing is, once you move from C to Perl, you find the Perl code very easy. But this extra operators and this extra things you must learn. Otherwise, you cannot write a C code like Perl. So you cannot use the power of Perl. So you have so much additional keywords which you must use. So that is the most important thing of Perl, that if you want to learn Perl, you must understand each and everything, and all the keywords and all the syntax you must know very clearly, which is different from C or C++. So if you have some programming background, you must you must have read about C or C++, or you must have worked on that. Okay, just read the additional things, how C is different from Perl. So that's how you must go. So you must have you must learn how Perl is different from C, how Perl is different from other languages, and then you try to find out what are the things. Then you will come to know what are the advantages of Perl and how you can write millions of lines of code into lakhs of lines of code or hundreds of lines in code into some 10, 15 lines of code. That is the good thing. You can use just the inbuilt regular expressions or keywords, and you can do a lot of things in Perl. On a single on a single command line, you can do everything on Perl, which you cannot do on C. You must write a program in C, but in Perl you can do on command line. So that is the good thing about Perl, but it's complex also because people have to learn a lot of things on Perl, which is not the case in C, where if you know the C keywords, which are not as much as Perl, and you know logic, you can implement any logic. But Perl, other than logic, you must know the keywords and what to use when. So there are a lot of keywords and a lot of things you will come to know as and when you learn this in a proper fashion, in a systematic fashion. So I must tell that you must go through you must have some previous programming knowledge, or if you don't have, just try to read what a C does. You can start with C and understand what are loops, what are the things. I think most of the people are aware of this. And then you go to the Perl and understand how it is different. So first you develop the logic and what are the inbuilt things in a programming language, like which are part of the programming language, and then you understand how Perl is different. Then you can clearly understand how Perl works and how we can make the codes very small, and the code size is actually very small in Perl because the lines of code are very, very less. And we can have the bitwise operators, that AND, OR, XOR, left shift, right shift. So if you are good in C or C++, you must know these operators. So this is like bitwise operators. You work on the bits. If you do a bitwise operator of AND, it will just AND the bit. AND the bit means if it is 1 and 1, it is 1. And if it is 1 and 0, it is 0. But if it is OR, if it is 1 and 1, it is 1. But it is 0 and 1, it is also 1. But only 0 and 0 is 0. So you must know logic, mathematical logic, or logic circuits, logic design, how bitwise operators works. So XOR, what is does, exclusive OR. So what is does, if 1 and 1, it becomes 0. So, and left shift, you can shift the bits left by number, how much, or right shift by how much. So you can do that. Range operator, you can specify a range of something. So, but we'll go through the next slides and we'll understand how it is done, because this is very vast. Once you see the example, you will come to understand how it is done. And the repetitive operator is you want to repeat a thing n number of times, 5 times. So you can just print and x5. You can just do print x5. So it will print 5 times. So it is very simple. You can just write a small code and you can just print, and how many times you want to print that, you can just specify that, and you can specify after x what you want to, how many times you want to print. So it will print a number of times. And concatenation operator is like if you want to concatenate two expressions, or like if you want to print and you want to concatenate, you can do that. As and when we go through the examples, we will take this. It is more like for your reference, not just for programming, because I have taken the basics of Perl, how to execute Perl, and what are the basic operators. So this is more like a study class where you are understanding with the introduction of Perl. Once you know and you read all those things, probably tomorrow or next week, we will be going in the advanced concepts. Then probably you will be asking more advanced questions, which you will be understanding how it is done. So, and we will be having more examples, and there are a lot of scripts in the end. If you see that LMS, if you see, there are also scripts at the end. So you have presentation, and you also have scripts. So module 1 scripts are there, and then module 1 assignments are there. So I expect after each module, the presentation is done and all, you take over the quiz and answer the questions, and the scripts are there, which all the scripts which are there in module 1, what are covered is there. Then the assignments are there. So you need to practice. It is for your own good. It is not something like it's an exam. And then there is an assignment solution. So rather than directly going through the solution, you can just do your own and then match that thing. So that is the good thing about this entire exercise, so that you are completely hands-on. Everything is there in this session. Almost everything is there. You don't need to even refer anything else. You will come to know about everything through this. Okay. So let's go to the next slide. So then we have miscellaneous operators, plus, plus, minus, minus. So we can do like a plus plus, a minus minus. So basically plus plus is like in post increment, pre increment, and like we can do equal to, and tilde, and not and tilde. So what are the uses of this? You will come to know later. You just go through this now. Okay, we'll go when we cover regular expressions and all, and then you can understand these are used, where it is used in pattern matching and all. Okay, and then quoting operator, Q, double Q, QW, like QW is for if you want to specify a path in initially, and then QX. So these all things you go through this rather than being very subjective. You just go through this, understand this, as and when we go further, we'll move further on this. Okay, so operators in Perl. So in Perl, the operator determines what operations is performed and on which arguments. For example, $a plus $b is always a numeric addition. Okay, if $a or $b do not contain numbers, interpreter converts them to numbers first and then operation is performed. Okay, so what is the thing? We'll understand slowly. Similarly, if you are doing some scalar operation on list data type. So scalar operation means we are considering that a scalar on list data type, means hash or array. Perl first tries to convert the list into scalar. This is called a context. So what it means is, when we want to do an addition, multiplication, or this, or whatever we want to do, or any operations, the interpreter must understand what is on the left hand side of the operator and what is on the right hand side of the operator. If these are not matching or these are not compatible, Perl will first make it compatible and then do the operation. So if A and B do not contain numbers, interpreter converts them to number first and then operation is performed. Because this plus operator, as I said, is used only, it is a numeric. But if you want to use this these operators, arithmetic operators only for numeric. But if you want to use some on string, then you can use LT greater than and all. So for string. But if you want to use greater than, equal to and all, it is only for numbers. So this logic must go on, as which is defined internally by Perl. That if it is the arithmetic operators only for arithmetic, you must have arithmetic expressions on both the sides, on the left hand side as the right hand side. Similarly, if they don't contain numbers, it has to be converted in number first, or some scalar operation on list type. Perl tries to convert it into scalar. How it is done? Similar thing. If you do Perl minus a, $a is equal to 10, $b 20, print $a plus $b. So see, here it is simple. Here it is $a equal to 10 and $b equal to 20. So if we just add print $a, as I gave in the previous example, you can just do like this. And this is for if you want to write on a notepad or something, some editor, and then run. But if you want to do it on command line, you don't need to use my and all. You can directly put these values as specified here. So you can just do $a equal to 10, and you can see that semicolon says that it is next line. So as Rahul or someone asked me that whether the semicolon is important. This is because, see, if you are actually writing a Perl script like here, you are not writing a single line. So it has 3 lines. $a equal to 10, $b equal to 20, and then $a equal to $b. And here we don't need the semicolon. Yeah, that's right. I think the last line, the semicolon may not be important, because that is the end of the statement. But before that, all the statements must be segregated by a semicolon, because then only it goes to the next statement. And in the command line, if we are segregating with the semicolon, it means each is a single statement. So here also you can see $a equal to 10, $b 20, and then $a. Here what is the thing is, we are putting this as a string. We are putting $10 as string and B also is a string, and what it does is, since it's arithmetic operation, it will convert both into integers and then it will do that operation. So we will not call it integers in Perl. We will just say that it is like scalar, a scalar with a integer data type, you can say. And in the third case, $a equal to 10, $a equal to 20, print $. So you get 0. The reason being, we don't know what is the value, what is 10 and $20. This is just a string. So if we had a hash and we did 10 equal to 10 and 20 equal to 20, and then we tried to add the elements of the hash, it could have printed to the right value. So that is why here it is 0. So I'll go to the next slide. So we have like $a equal to 1 plus 2, $a equal to 3 minus 4, $a equal to 5. So we can have this kind of thing. Whatever are the operators you have seen, you can do this operators. If it is a binary operator or unary operator, so there are something called binary operators where which means two expressions, left hand side and right hand side. And you have unary operators like plus plus, post increment, pre increment. These are unary operators. This needs just one expression. It doesn't need two expressions. So you can do this. You can increment it post or pre. Pre means like before you want to assign something, and so you assign it and then increment it. But if you want to increment it, if you want to assign something and post increment, what it does is, you want to assign something, so what it does is it will assign some value, but the incrementing is done in next line. But pre-increment is if you are assigning something to something and the incrementing is also done in the same line, it will first do everything together, it will increment and it will go to the next line. So this is post pre-increment, post-increment. And again, we can have this concatenation, as I said. If you want to just concatenate two strings, it is only for strings, as I said. So you can concatenate two strings with dot operator. So it will just do Eureka Perl. And if you do Eureka x2, excuse me. So it will be just Eureka printed twice. And if you do $a dot Perl, if you do, then what it means is concatenate and assigns works for other operators. So means what? So I concatenate and assign. So I concatenate Perl and into A, and then I assign it also. So it is like doing two things at the same time. So whatever the value of A was, I concatenated Perl and I also assigned that thing. So it makes two as a single entity. And we can have $a equal to 1. This is called ternary operator. If you are knowing C, C++, so this is called ternary operator. So if the first expression is true, it will give this value. If it is false, it will go the second value. So if 1 is true, then it gives true. Or if 1 is not true, if the output is not 1, so if the value of A is 1, it will give true. If the value is not 1, it will give false. You can also say if 1 a question mark here also, you can run 1 or 0. So it depends on your logic what you want the output to be. So you can, instead of writing 2 lines or 3 lines of code, you can write in a single line. Okay, and you can also have this. Okay, so if and this too, so this means greater than equal to, greater than, less than. So this sign means greater -1 if LHS is less than RHS, 0 if LHS is equal to RHS, and 1 if LHS is greater than RHS. Okay, so $a equal to, it should be 64. I think there is a typo. Okay, so what you want to do, $a is equal to 8 double star 64. I think there is a typo. Where is that? 8 to the power of 2. Oh yeah, so yeah, that is, I think that is a typo error. That is a power 8 to the power of 2. So this is, you are right, Rahul. Yes, I'm sorry about it, the slide has a mistake. So it is like power. So if you do this power, it is like 8 square. So 8 square is 64. So you are right, it is a typo. We'll try to rectify this. Okay, so probably I'm not sure if we can rectify this in this session only, but this batch only, but So to get this rectified, this is an error. You can probably raise a ticket and get this rectified, that this slide has an error. You can just mention, or otherwise it's for your reference. You can understand it's an exponential. Okay, so I'll go to the, okay, this also, the last one is a special operator in Perl, wherein if it is LH is equal to RHS, then only it will return 1. And if LH is less than RHS, it will give -1. And again, sorry, if it is 0, it is LH is equal to RHS, and if 1, if LH is greater than RHS. So it is something like, it is -1, 0 and 1, it will have 3 values. If both are equal, then it will give 0. If it is left is greater than right, it will give 1. And if left is less than right, it will give -1. So you can practice and understand. Later we'll come to know when we see more examples. Okay, so operator precedence and associativity. So operator precedence and associativity. So we'll have like any other language, Perl also have the operator precedence. Operator precedence says that some operators are evaluated by the interpreter before others. For example, 4 plus 4 into 5. The multiplication has higher precedence, so 4 into 5 is evaluated. It is similar to how expression is evaluated in any programming language, where it will give precedence to higher precedence operators. It is very much similar to C. If you know a little bit of C, you will understand that precedence. So you have to go through operator precedence. If you go through the Perl doc operator, there you will see the precedence, and you can understand that how precedence is done. It is very much similar to C. So first it will take multiplication and addition, even if you don't put in braces or something. Associativity. Operator associativity says what happens when the same operator is used one after the other, whether the evaluator will evaluate the left operations first or the right one. Okay, so associativity is like, you want to say that which will you evaluate first. If you are having an expression, just now I had this expression where I have this ternary operator. Okay, so we have something on, we have some value, and this is the left one value and the other value. So these are like, there are multiple results for this. So the thing is how the evaluation is done. So precedence is who will take the precedence. This is fine, but associativity is from left to right or right to left. So this is one simple example where the associativity is done. So this is from left to right for ternary operator. It is not from right to left. So it will not first assign false and then true. It will first take true and false. So it is left to right. Some of the operators will have right to left as well. So you can go through and understand. So these are very much similar to C. Okay, so for example, 8 minus 4 minus 2, subtraction is left associative, so Perl evaluates left to right. So 8 minus 4 is evaluated first, and 4 minus 2, not 8 minus 2 equals 6. So this is very simple. It is like, it is generally all the associativity is from left to right rather than from being right to left. Okay, then operator precedence and associativity reference. So we have non-associativity and associativity and operators. So non-associativity which doesn't have that associativity is plus plus minus minus, and that rise associativity is star star. And again, this you can just learn it. So no associativity means we cannot have this association for this kind of thing. If there are combination of operators, we cannot have non-associative. But generally, if this kind of expressions are there, it will be either left to right or right to left. Most of the things it is left to right, but mostly for unary operators where only it requires one expression, so it will be right to left. So you can see here. I'll go to the next slide. So what is the output of 3 star star 2 star 2? So it is what? It is like you can as Rahul said, it is very simple. So it is like we are doing 3 exponential 2 and 2 so it is very simple mathematics. So 3 into 3 is a 9, and 9 is 81. I think the answer should be 81. Yeah. So 81 has rise associativity. So the expression evaluated is 3 star star 2 star 2. So it is always good if you want to learn that you have to put the right brackets to understand. Though Perl will do it itself, but if you put this yourself, you will clearly understand what is happening. because that is how it is. It is from like right to left or left to right. You can understand because this is unary operator. This is unary operator, so it is right to left. So that's why I put the brackets on the right. If it was left associative some binary operator, so we could have put the bracket here and here between this and this. So that's how it is left or right. You can understand. And what is the output of the following statements? Print plus plus foo equal to 99, foo is equal to a0. So what it does is we want to print plus plus. Okay, we want to print and the value of it is pre-increment. Okay, we want to increment it before only. So the value of foo is 99. So we make it 100. And again we have the a0 pre-increment. So it will be I think it will be a1 and foo az plus plus. We have to see this. Not I have some doubt. So it is like 9900 a0 a1. So okay, again az becomes ba. So you can understand how it is done. So so it is 100. So it is incremented. A0 becomes A1 and AZ. Okay. If the character ends, it will restart from the first character. This is another good thing about Perl because it has so many things. It is sometimes even if you are a very good programmer on Perl, you might tend to forget few things because these are not you don't use it very often. But this is something which is Perl has this feature. That's why I told like Perl is so rich and powerful. So it has so much features. So you can see that after Z has completed, Z is the last letter, it increments to Z to again A. So this is something only for characters and this is very strange, but that's how Perl works. Now we'll go to the next slide. So grab the input from the user. So this operator where it is angular braces open and close or diamond operator used to grab the input from standard input, that is called stdin. So it is very much similar to when you say that scanf. Okay, so when you want to ask any user that what is your name, so please type your name. So you will print. You will just type and you will it will interpret what is the thing. You can print that value. So it is very much similar to scanf, wherein if I want to do print what's your name, it will be printed on the screen and it is asking the user for the intervention. What is the excuse me? What is the value of the name you want to print? So you will just print. You will just type something. So it will say if you want to print and $name. So see, you can say hello, welcome to Perl Training, Mr. Name. So what we want to print hello, welcome to Perl Training, Mr. Dot name. So dot is the concatenation and dot name. So whatever is your names, there Rahul or Mahesh or Dimitri or whoever is there, excuse me, it will just print the name. So that's how it works. So whenever we accept the input, we press enter key. Okay, so it is something where similar to C, wherein if you want to type something in scanf, so you have to press the enter key. So every time /n is appended to the input, remember to remove it when compare data with input. So this is one important thing, wherein if you want to compare, okay, there are some chomp and chop, there are some functions in Perl. So if we want to compare what is the output, we must remove this /n. And there are some functions like chop, I guess, which append, which will not have this /n appended, but chomp will have. So basically, as we go further, we will understand like how it does. So we must know that this /n is appended to the input for normal cases. So it's up to us to use the right function to compare with the input. Say for example, Perl input module.pl. What's your names? Question mark Sajan. So hello, welcome to Perl Training, Mr. Sajan. So this is something which we already saw here. So we'll go to the next slide, and here we have something like context in Perl. So what is context? So context means how Perl interpreted and understands your code. So we already covered this in the last slides, where we already told if you want to add two numbers, the context of this should be same, or if you want to add two hash elements, so it should be brought in the right context. If they are not in the same context, they will not be able to, we cannot do any operations on them. So that's how the context is. So context means how Perl interpreter understands your code. In Perl, it comes into picture wherever we try to do things is unexpected by the interpreter. So again, this is something which I told, like it comes to picture whenever we try to do this is unexpected by the interpreter. So that's where the error comes, wherein we try to do something, we are expecting something and something else comes. Because the context is not right. We are not doing in the right context. Similarly, for if you want to access a hash member or do something on the hash, so most of the times you will get an error because you don't know how the working is done in hash. You will assign some, instead of index, you assign some value. So the whole thing goes for a toss. So this is what you must understand, that the context should be right. And the Perl will, the interpreter must understand the context, otherwise it will not be able to give you the right value. For example, convert array hash into scalar, assignment operator on strings. We have already covered this. We also see an example where we do arithmetic operation on string. In all these cases, context comes into picture. Okay, so again we do, we have already covered this, where we want to do arithmetic operator on string. The context, it will be converted from string to integer, and then we can do the thing. While performing the assignment in scalar, interpreter sets $b to the last item 6. So see, here the context comes, as RHS is list and LHS is scalar. The left hand, right hand side is list. It is a list which is having 3 values, while the left hand side is just having 1 value. So what will happen is, while performing the assignment, it will, interpreter sets $b to the last item, that is 6. That is how, so that's how Perl does. Now if you want to compare B or something, it will only take the value as 6 instead of this, because the reason being, $b is a scalar. It can store only one value. It can either store 4, 5 or 6 or any single value. But if you want to put 3 values, it will put the last value which you put in the $p, and then you can do any operations of $b. So it will refer to 6. While performing assignment in a scalar context, interpreter set $b to the last item 6. Okay, we have already covered that. So array is equal to 456, $b equal to @array. Now what will happen? So we have an array which has 3 members, 4, 5, 6, and we have this $b. We are assigning a scalar to an array. Now what will happen? You are assigning a list to an array, list or array to a scalar. So what will happen? Here context comes, RHS is list and RHS is scalar. Sorry, it is again a typo. It is like LHS is scalar and RHS is list. So while performing the assignment of scalar, interpreter sets to the total number of items. So what it will do is, this is another important trick in Perl, where you want to see the size or number of elements in an array. You can just assign this to a scalar variable. There are multiple ways to do that. One way we have already seen, wherein we get the last index by that by putting that hash and dollar, I guess, hash dollar and hash, I guess, which we covered in the last slides, which gives the last element. So it is similar to size, wherein we can say it is just it starts with 0 and n minus 1, so we can just add 1. So whatever we got here, what we can do is we can just assign, and it will be the exact size. So if you want to know the size of an array, if it is a huge array, so if you just print, it will print you the size of an array. Okay, this is another way. There is one more way, few more ways to do it. As and when we go forward, we'll tell you, but you need to know some advanced concepts what are available in Perl and some special variables. So while performing the assignment in scalar context, interpreter sets it to the total number of items. Okay, again the third example. So we are doing $a, $b, $c equal to 4, 5, 6. Here context doesn't come, as RHS is list, LHS is list. So simply $A will be 4, B 5, C will be 6. So it's simple because it doesn't need any conversion. So what is the output of the following? So we will have 4 plus 25, 10. So what will happen? So here we are 104. When interpreter converts list into scalar, it gets the last element. So as we did here, we can see that we want to add a scalar with a list. So if you go to the previous slides, what we saw is we want to assign a list to a scalar. What will happen is it will give you the size. It will give you the size. Okay. So here what happens is it will assign the last element. So which is 100. In fact, it is not the size. It is not an array here. Here we are not putting at the rate. Instead, we are actually putting. We are just putting this between the braces. So what happens is it will just take the last element because we want to add two numbers, and the first element is a scalar. The second element is also scalar, so it will take the last scalar value, that is 100. Okay, so that's how it works. 4 plus 100. So what is the output of $A is equal to 2500? Print 4 plus A. So again, what we do is we assign an array and we pass the values of 25 and 100. So array has two elements, 25 and 100, and print 4 plus array. Now what it will do, we have already covered that when we want to assign an array to a scalar, it will take the size. So size is what? Size is 2 because we have two elements in the array. So it will be 4 plus 2, that is 6, that we already covered. So this is that it gets the total number of elements, and that's what is added to 4. Okay, so we have the next one. So the functions are very much similar to C. What we already know, that function will have a name of the function and the function will return something. Okay, so and it might have some parameters as well. So functions are predefined keywords which perform some specific functionality like print. So again, print, or if you say in C, we have the printf command. Again, similarly, we have the print. So it is used to print an argument. So this is a function in Perl, inbuilt function in Perl. For online documents, Perl function is command to look into functions. So if you want to look for Perl functions, so just do Perl func. So it will give you Perl doc and space, and it will give you the list of functions in Perl. So you can just scroll down and you can see all the values. Okay, in Perl we divide the functions into various categories like scalar, array, hash for easy remembering. So we divide into different categories, like what categories of functions are there. So here we can see that Perl doc minus f, it will print the function, like what are the functions. Okay, then we have this scalar functions, substring. Now what does this substring do? So it is something like a subset. If you talk about a subset, so you have a set and you want to get a subset of this, so you get only a part of that set, right? So similarly, we have this function called substring, substr. So subset expr of length and replacement. So this is the syntax. But need not be, we have to pass everything. We say we are not passing, if you see here, all the things we are not passing everything. It depends, means or length and replacement are optional. So we might have only two arguments, that is expression and offset. And length and replacement are not essential. So what it does is, if you want to take a subset of from some string, so it will just and how much you want to get. So you want to get from 5th to 7th location, what is the value? So you can get the expression from till that location and it will give. But if you put the replacement and length, so it will replace that string with some value. So for example, this is the main string which we have. This is the main string, have the substrings. Okay, so the color, $color equal to substring $s52. Okay, so this is what? So see, we have this is the main string have the substrings. Okay, so the substring of dollar. So what we are doing is, substring of dollar means what? We want to find out a substring of this entire string, okay, up till from the fifth location. Okay, from the fifth location is THIX, and so this is like fifth after 5 location. Basically offset is after that location. So if we are saying 5, it is after fifth location. So we want to get from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it is I. And how many characters you want to print? It is IS. Okay, so when you want to do the subtract 2, so it will only take IS. So here we are specifying length. So we are getting two means one part of the string, that is IS, from the entire string, and it is stored in color. Similarly, you can also do middle is equal to substring S5 and -11. So you can also see here that you are getting from 5 from -11 means what? That you are this is like substring and offset and the length. So we have 2, 3. So we have 11. You want to have 11 characters from the fifth. Okay. So you can see that after 5 is after this space, you have some characters till THE. So this is what I get. So I go from the back 11 characters. Okay, I go from the back 11 characters, and so this is what I told. In Perl we can have the minus thing, wherein if you specify the length as minus, it will go from the back. So 11 characters, it will go back and it will just print. So you can see that SUB3, and strings are how much? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 and one space is there. So 11 characters goes and it just prints from ease to the. So similarly, you can understand the other examples which are very much similar. So if you have any doubt, you can just ask me. Okay, I'll go to the next slide. So scalar functions. So chomp and chop. So if you chomp a list, each element is chopped. The total number of chomped characters are returned. If you chop a list, each element is chopped, only the value of the last chop is returned. So this is the difference between chomp and chop. One difference is total number of chomped characters are returned if it is if you are using CHOMP for a list, but if you do a chop, okay, each only the value of the last chop is returned. So the last chop, whatever was chopped, it could return. So these are some important functions which are often used, and we'll see further how it is used. So you can see that chop removes the trailing record from the string. So if you want to chomp, it will only get part of the string. Okay, it is very much similar to substring, but you don't specify any length or something like this. It's just to chomp and the string followed by the string. So it will just chomp what you want to get. So we will see further how it is done. So remove trailing record separator from a string, removes the last character only if it is /n. Okay, so only /n is removed in chomp. Okay, but chop, it doesn't remove the last character. This is the difference. So where you want to use chop and where you want to use chomp, you should know. So chop will not remove the last character, that is /n, but chomp will use the last character only if it's /n. So it will remove and it will only give you the string. And chomp return the number of characters it removed, say 5 characters, but chomp will remove the last character it removed. Chop will remove the last character. So we'll go to the next slide. So the example between chop and chomp, just now I said. So what is your name? So we enter some name and chomp name. So what chomp will do is, it will remove the /n. Okay, it will remove the /n. So you can see here, chomp return the number of characters it returned and removes the /n. So when we want to print this, when we want to print this, you can see what is the output. Hello, welcome to Perl training Mr. .name. So we'll see the output below. And second is, what's your name? chop name, hello, what is the name? So we'll see the output below. So when we do Perl chomp.pl, then what's your name? Jatin. Okay, so say you entered the value as Jatin. So hello to Perl training Mr. Jatin. Okay, so again here you see that here it will just give Jatin, and here hello, welcome to Perl Mr. Jatin. So what will it do is, if you press /n, it will remove the /n in the chomp functionality, but it will not remove the /n in the chop functionality. So you can see that here we are having this /n, but it is not going to the new line. You are going to the next line. So that is the main difference between chop and chomp. Only difference is the new line is getting removed, but here it is, the cursor is not in the next line. It is in the same line. So we'll go to the next slide. So this is a quiz. So what is the output of $a is equal to 2500 print chop 100 at the rate A? So we are, what we are doing, we are passing two elements to an array. Okay, and we are chopping $a. Okay, so what should happen? Now here what we say is, when we do a chop, it removes the last character from the string. Okay, and removes last character, doesn't matter if it's /n or something. Chop returns the character it removed. Okay, so what character we removed is, we chopped and /a. So we want to remove the last character. So what should be removed? So you can see the answer is 0. So if you chop a list, each element is chopped. Okay, if you chop a list, each element is chopped. Only the value of the last chop is returned. Okay, so so each element is chopped, it's removed, and only the last chop is returned. So here the answer is 0, because the reason being, I want to chop the entire elements and we don't get anything. We don't have anything out of it. This is not a right way of doing it. Okay, we want to chop a string. When we do a chop, basically we want to remove something from a string. So we want to remove a name, or we want to get something, but here it is not the thing. Here we want to chop A, so this is not it will give you some just value or wrong value. So we should be careful that chop and chomp, what we do, it is only for string. We don't want to do it for an array or hash, so it will not give you any right value. So again, scalar functions. So we have that lowercase and uppercase. So lowercase returns the lowercase of a string, and LC first returns a string with just the next letter in lowercase. Okay, so if you do LC first, it will just return the next letter in lowercase, and similarly UC first will return the next letter in uppercase, and UC will return in uppercase. So these are very simple functions. If you just pass, again, Perl has this functionality where you need not pass this function and call explicitly. You can just print and UC and space the name. So you need not pass the function in some code brackets and pass some parameters. You can directly call the function and pass the parameter provided by space. So this is a very simple way of doing it, rather than passing this as an argument like C within the braces, within the parentheses. We need not do that. So you can see that when we do print UC uppercase name dot slash, so what it does is Edureka. So it converts it into uppercase. And when we do UC first name, then what the first letter is converted into uppercase. Similarly, if you do LC first, the first letter is converted into lowercase. So again, since we did both in lowercase, so again this and this has no change, because it is already in lowercase when we called print LC. So it is already converted in lowercase. So LC first will also give you lowercase. Had it been Edureka and then we called LC first, then only the first letter should have been E should be lowercase and Dureka should be in uppercase. It's as simple as that. Okay, then we have this array functions. So these are very important functions which are used for the data structure called array, which we already discussed. So push, pop, shift and unshift. So push is like append one or more elements to an array. Okay, pop is remove the last element from an array and return it. Okay, so it is like a stack. Stack means you put the plates one after the other in inverted fashion. So if you are putting the plates or some books one above the other, the one which comes last goes out first. So it is called last in first out thing. So that is the stack. But if you talk about queue is something like who goes first goes out first. So it's like first in first out. So array. So here normally in C and all we have this last in first out operation. But in Perl we have this operation where it provides some additional features, wherein push append one or more elements to array. It's similar to like we push in a stack, like it is on the top of the stack. So last who comes goes out first. Okay, and pop, remove the last element from the array and return it. So pop is similar to an what we have in C, where the last plate, if you put plates one above the other, the last if you remove, it goes out first. Shift is remove the first element from an array and return it. Now these are additional features in Perl, wherein you can remove the first element from the array and return it. So it is not possible in normal implementations in C, wherein you cannot remove the first element because it has gone to the last. It gone at the lowest thing. So you can only remove the last elements, but it provides this shift functionality where the first element can also be removed using shift. And unshift is prepend more elements to the beginning of the list. So unshift means you want to have a stack already and you want to add from the starting, not from the back. So these are some additional functions which are not like C, and you can also add elements from the starting, or also you can remove elements from the starting, which is similar to queue, not like a stack, but it is a combination. So that's these are the stack operations. So when we have this food equal to meat, oats, beans, push food, eggs, bread. Okay, so we are adding two more new elements at the end, because normal push is like normal stack implementation where we put you can think about plates. You are putting plates one above the other. So when you do a push, you push at the top, which is at the end. But when you do a pop, it will give you the last element, right? So it will give you the last plate. Unshift, if you do the unshift, it will prepend. Means what? It will add more elements to the beginning of the list. So add cereals at the beginning. So it will become cereals and then meat and then eggs, bread, meat, whatever it is. And when you do shift movies, then what will it will remove the first element from the array. So when you do shift movies, you can even store the output in a scalar variable. So it will remove the first element of the food, okay, from the food, whichever is cereals, and it will store in breakfast. So it will be breakfast equal to cereals. So means cereals. So that's how it works. So again, we have other functions like splice. So I'm sorry, I have few other slides. I'll quickly take this so that I can complete it. So just please bear with me for another 10 minutes or so. I should be able to cover it. So splice. So splice means add or remove elements anywhere in the array. So when we use the splice, we can add or remove elements anywhere from the array. And syntax is splice array or expression offset length list. So it is similar to what we saw previously, where we have this sub str, we specify this expression offset length. So similarly, splice also has this syntax, and length and list are optional. So it can only have expression and offset. So again, here you can see that food equal to meat, bread, whatever it is this, and we do splice. So here again, it is very similar to substring, but only thing is it will remove only element from array, but substring is from a string. So you want to get only part of the string from a bigger string, but splice is you want to remove the element from an array. So here you can see that food, we want to specify 4 2 cereals red meat. So what we do is we are passing 4 and 2 and as array array and offset and cereals and red meat. So what it does is it removes and returns foot 4 and foot 5, replacing the serials and red bit. So it removes two elements. Okay, it removes two elements, as I said, that this is the second element, is our argument is offset, and first is the element. So array or expression. So when we say foot 4 2 serials red bit, so it will be, what it will do, it will remove these two, okay, and it will replace serials and red bit with foot 4 and foot 5, because I am from fourth location. So you can think about like 0 1 2 3 4. Okay, so 0 1 2 3 4. So I think there is a mistake. It should be foot 3 and foot 4 we can do. It should be. So you can say that it will replace eggs and bread with cereals and red meat. So that's how it does. It removes and it can replace also. Okay, and again we do a splice $day 0xy. So the same as push. So the next thing is splice $day 0 $x $y, same as push $day xy. So here again we are specifying the index as 0. So instead of from fourth element or where we want to remove, we are going from $0. So it will be only as push. It is like normal at the top. And when we do splice a -1, so it is like pop the first element. So here again it is changing the meaning. So splice is converting into pop, where it is removing the last element. And when we do A01, so same as shift $, because from the index is here 0 and the first, so we shift by 1. Again here the unshift, when we do, it is again, it is very much similar to this, wherein I'm passing this offset, length and list, and we are passing this, and it is same as unshift. Okay, I have a question. Okay, what is the question? What is the meaning of 2 at the rate here? Okay, so Rahul, you are asking what is the meaning of 2 at the rate. So basically it means, one second. So basically it means as when we do a splice at the rate means we are passing to see you see the arguments of a splice. We are passing, first is array and second is offset, length and list. Okay, so we are having array, and you can also pass as array. So what it does is you are basically taking this as an index, right? Because see, when we pass this, the second argument as at the rate, basically it expects an offset. The second argument is expects an offset, and when you assign an array to an scalar, it is basically the length. So it will be like, what is that? It is like the length of the array it will be passing. So whatever is the length of the array, it is going to pass that. I hope I am clear here. What is your doubt? I cleared it. Basically the first argument is an array, but the second argument is basically the offset, like from where to where we want to do. So here when we pass this array, it is basically converted into an offset, and that is like the size of an array is passed. Okay, fine, Rahul, you can check it. You can check it. If there are some like you have any clarifications, you can just ask me. Even I will test it myself. I might not be 100% right on all the answers. If there are some clarifications you need, I can answer it tomorrow. Yeah, Rahul, I understand your doubts. Here, as I said, Perl is not that simple. It has so many functions, and sometimes these functions are like, it can take any arguments, and that is the problem, wherein like it is very difficult to know what exactly a script means. You have some script and it is very difficult what they are passing. If it is a hardcore programmer, you will not even understand what he has written, because if he knows this very well, he will be using the you will be using the best ways to use Perl, and that is the reason why he will be writing this as a complex code. So this is something like a complex code that instead of writing the offset directly, you are passing that array. So it is converted, as I told in context, it will be converted into a scalar or whatever is expected, and then it converts. So then it finds the final value. So that is how it is. Okay. So that's how it is, but you can try out yourself tomorrow, and if you will also try, and if we have some clarification, we will discuss on that. You can post your queries there. Okay, so I have to quickly cover it because I'm little short of the slides. So let's complete it. Okay. Okay. Okay, hash functions. So we have some functions which can be used on hash, like keys, values, delete, exists, and defined. So like if we want to print keys, so it will print you the keys. Here you can see, if you print keys of students, it will print name, company, and all. So and if you print values students, it will print Sajan Edureka. So that's how it is. Like you can print values, but the syntax is print, then keys and percentage, whatever hash is there, you can pass that hash there. Or values and the hash name you can pass. And then there are functions like delete, which deletes some record from the hash. Like you want to delete the name, that is Sajan, from the student's record, then you can do that. And you have to be careful when you are operating on some operation. You are printing. You will put a dollar variable, and when you have this hash, you are putting this parenthesis and the name of the value. The key. And again, we have this defined. It is used to test whether a variable function is defined or not. So if and exists, test whether a key hash key is present. So what does it mean is, so if define student's name true false. So see, you can see there is a ternary operator which says that if it is true, so if it is defined, then it is true, else false. Okay, if this record exists. Again, second thing is if exists student name true value. So true if the key is defined. Okay, so this is first one is for value and the second one is for key. So I'll go to the next slide. So we have completed the session today. There are some assignments. So it would be good if you can do the assignments, but the answers are also there. But it would be good if you can do the assignments without seeing the answers, and it will help you in understanding Perl in a better way. So you can see that write a program to accept an input from the user and determine if it's an odd or even. Let's say user provide 2007. Output the number provided, that is 2007, is an odd number. So you should print this. So you should go through this assignment, and you can do this complete assignment. It will be really helpful. Okay. So, and if you have any doubts, you can go ahead and post it. Then I'll answer tomorrow. And I'll try to cover your doubts tomorrow, but might be if there are something too many, then we'll try to push in next class so that I can cover the slides as well. And the further reading, you can see this Perl doc. So this Perl doc is like a website which gives you the entire information about Perl, and it is same as I said, what you can do in command line, the same thing you can do in Perl doc, and it is a web version which use the POD format, plain old documentation, and it has the entire documentation. So what you see there is same in the web version. Okay. Okay. Next is next slide is okay, on functions. You can see, so these are all part of Perl doc which you have already seen in command line. So it is a web version, or you can see in command line. And basic idea about if else, you can see subroutine. You can also do Perl doc and you can see subroutine, or if it is a operator or whatever, you can see that. Okay. So the agenda for the next class is you will be able to understand the control statements in Perl, understand the different kinds of loops, define and use subroutines, define built-in variables, how to capture command line arguments and special variables and their uses. So these are the agenda for the next class. So we have to go to LMS and go to the next one. So that is the next class. The first one is done. So this is like LMS installation guide. Then the assignment I already took. You have to do the assignment and take the quiz after each module. Okay, and download the scripts for your own reference. Okay, further reading, you can see that under this, you can see that there are some further reading also. If you go to the LMS page, okay, there are something called further reading as well. So you can take this further reading stuff here. Okay, so these are what you need to go through. So a lot of study to do. Okay, so module 2 pre-work also you should do so that you are very much clear on what we are going through. And whatever your doubts, please post it. Thank you. So I'm ending the session here.